Ladies and gentlemen, get ready for the tech brawl of the century. I know many of you have been waiting for this video and it's finally here. Today we're going to witness a grand spectacle. Welcome to my official iPad battery drain test for 2024, which include the all-new razor thin iPad Pro models, as well as all the new Airs, which now include a larger 13-inch size. Which iPad will prevail and be crowned the all-new champ? This is going to be a crazy one, but those with a keen eye will notice that a reigning, defending iPad battery champ has officially hung up its gloves and retired. That's right, the 9th gen iPad, that is the last iPad with the home button, was officially removed from Apple's official iPad lineup. And even though Apple introduced newer versions of the iPad, simply put, the iPad lineup is fucking confusing. I'm not even gonna lie. But I'm hoping this video helps hundreds, perhaps even thousands of iPad enthusiasts make the correct decision. Battery life is a huge deciding factor for many, whether you're intending to use your iPad for school, for work, or as a media consumption machine. Whatever the case, one thing is for sure. Today, we will crown a brand new champion. But which one is it going to be? Will it be one of the Mighty Pro models with the all-new M4 chip? Maybe the Mighty Mini will shock the world and come out on top. All I know is the results will shock you. But before we roll the intro, go ahead and pause the video and comment down which one you think will reign supreme. You did it, right? We'll wait for you, don't worry. Alright, you've done it? Wonderful, so let's not waste any more time and get right into the action. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, many of you are very used to my battery drain tests. To save time and get right to the action, I'll keep the rules really brief. Check the video description for detailed instructions as to how meticulous this test is, including making sure all iPads are set to the same Wi-Fi network, same brightness level, True Tone being turned off on all, and all of that good stuff. Or if you prefer, check out some of my prior drain tests to see the rules and regulations that all iPads must follow in order to be allowed into the tech octagon. And before the first round starts, it is mandatory to go over our tail of the tape. Keep in mind, the positioning of these iPads will not change for the entirety of our test. Starting off all the way to the left is our iPad mini. The smallest of the iPads, but make no mistake, it may be tiny, but it packs a mighty punch. To the right of the mini is our 10th gen iPad, being the successor to our now retired reigning champ. The 10th gen is an anomaly within the iPad lineup, as many tech heads simply don't understand where this iPad fits within the lineup in terms of pricing and features. Following the 10th gen to its right, being placed third to left, is our iPad Air 11-inch, featuring the mighty M2 chip. The 11-inch Air is a versatile and very capable tablet that will give you the best bang for your buck. But if you need a larger display to showcase your creativity, there is now a new option, being the 13-inch iPad Air. This iPad has everything the 11-inch has to offer, but is designed for those that require that extra screen real estate and is a terrific option to pair up with the new Apple Pencil Pro. And now, getting to our bougie and most expensive options. Second to last is the 11-inch iPad Pro, now featuring the mighty M4 chip and being the thinnest iPad ever produced. The Pro lineup is designed for those individuals who absolutely require the most horsepower for their productivity work. This tablet may be thin, but packs a mighty punch. And finally, all the way to the right is the gargantuan 13-inch iPad Pro. This is the iPad for creative individuals who utilize pro level and desktop applications. Think Final Cut Pro, Logic Pro for music mixing, and other apps such as Adobe Photoshop. It is the most powerful tablet, but also is the most expensive. So again, from left to right, we have the Mini, the 10th gen iPad, the 11-inch Air, the 13-inch Air, the 11-inch Pro, and finally, all the way to the right, the 13-inch iPad Pro. Now that the official introductions are out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, it's time! We have 8 grueling rounds to drain all 6 of these iPads from 100% down to 0. the last one standing will be crowned our new reigning battery drain champ. Alright, round number 1, here we go! As is customary on my channel, the first round is more or less considered a warm-up round. We give our 6 combatants a chance to stretch and do some light work cardio. This is the standby test, and the aim of it is to mimic real-world usage, taking into the account all the time that your iPad is just being left idle, not doing anything. It may be because you have to go take a quick potty break, or maybe you might go to the store and buy some Takis. In any case, we left all 6 iPads with their displays on idle for 60 minutes, and at the conclusion of those 60 minutes, these are the results. All of the iPads except the Pros had to have skipped cardio days, since the Mini comes in at 88%. The 10th Gen sits at 88% as well. The mighty 11-inch Air drops heavily to 80%, losing a fifth of its battery in just 60 minutes. The larger 13-inch Air fares better and pairs its performance with the first two, now sitting at 88%. But it's the Pro models that did very well in this test, probably due to the advanced M4 chip found inside, with the 11-inch Pro at 94% and the larger 13-inch Pro leading the pack for now, only dropping 5 points down to 95%. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised by these results. I really am, but it's still way too early to make any assumptions. Moving on to round number 2. This is a bit more strenuous, so the time for horse playing is over with. For test number 2, we move on to our camera recording test. Now look, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I don't think I've ever had the need to record on my iPads. It just feels unnatural, and if you do have an iPad, chances are you have an iPhone as well, which ergonomically does a way better job at recording anyway. But there are still people out there who do use their iPads to record, and this test is meant to mimic the camera usage on iPads. For this test, we leave all 6 iPads recording my wall on 4K 60 FPS. We did this for 60 minutes as well, and after a whole hour, these are the results. Starting with the Mini, it now slips down to 68%, almost dropping a whole third of its tank within just the first 2 rounds. While the larger 10th generation iPad fares a little better, only dropping to 72%. The 11-inch Air once again needs to get its head in the game as it now plunges down to 60%, losing 40% of its tank in just 2 hours. Pretty crazy work, honestly. Its larger brother, the 13-inch Air, manages to tie up with the 10th gen, again slipping down to 72%. But what about the Pros? The M4 chip has secured both the Pro iPads in early lead, but can it maintain it? Both Pros now slip down to just 86%, showcasing a huge disparity in battery performance from first place versus last place. It's still only the second round and anything is still possible. So far, is your pick winning? Moving on to round numero 3. This is the test that really puts the pedal to the metal for all of our combatants and is the test that most iPad users will resonate with. This is the video streaming test. Many users want an iPad to enjoy their favorite shows on a larger display with fuller speakers, and this test aims to challenge these iPads to showcase their full potential. For this test, we have 3 iPads running on Netflix and the other 3 on Hulu for 2 hours. And then we switch them so that the Netflix iPads transition to Hulu and vice versa. This streaming test altogether lasted a whopping 4 hours. That way each iPad gets a chance to run on Netflix for 2 hours and on Hulu for 2 hours as well. This is ample time and is a very realistic time frame since, don't lie, many of us have binge watched shows or movies for hours on end on our iPads. So it not only is realistic, but also gives me a chance to step away from babysitting iPads all day to go to the gym and to secure me some chicken wings for dinner. By the way, I'm Team Flats. If you prefer drums, you're simply wrong since flats have been proven to be superior. So anyway, 2 hours into the test before switching them, we have 46% for the Mini, 45% for the 10th gen, 41% for the 11-inch Air, 46% for the 13-inch Air, 67% for the 11-inch Pro, and the mighty 13-inch Pro is still in the lead, only sitting at 70%. Then we go ahead and switch them, have each run for an additional 2 hours to make it 4 hours total. And at the conclusion of our streaming test, these are the following results. This time we'll start from right to left, starting with the 13-inch Pro slipping down to just 61%, while its smaller brother, the 11-inch Pro, slips down to 56%. The 13-inch Air plunges down to 30%, while the 11-inch Air is nearly at a quarter tank, officially coming in at 26%. And finally, the 10th Gen iPad and the Mini tied up at 30%, ironically being at the same exact percentage as the larger 13-inch Air. So it seems like the 11-inch has remained in last place for the entire match, but as I always say, anything can happen. Don't count it out just yet. So in last place is the 11-inch Air for now, and the 13-inch Pro has maintained its superior lead, coming in first place the entire match. It's do or die, and these iPads have to make something happen if they want to knock the 13-inch Pro from first place. Shameless plug, guys, these videos take forever to construct and put together. At the bare minimum, if you're enjoying this video so far, don't forget to drop a like down below. Alright, round number 4. One of the most beloved accessories for the iPad is the Apple Pencil. But now, there are 4 different Apple Pencils, which makes buying one for your iPad super confusing. But don't worry, I have an Apple Pencil buying guide coming out shortly after this video is uploaded, so stay tuned. For this test, we use each iPad's respective Apple Pencil and just doodle for 20 minutes on each device. This is meant to mimic note-taking or simply drawing on your iPad. I basically just doodled whatever came to mind, so don't judge me for my artwork, please. I know, I suck at drawing. So to cut back on time, I draw on 2 at a time while the others sit idle awaiting their turn. Otherwise, this test would take way longer to complete. So anyway, after each iPad got their turn drawing for 20 minutes, these are the surprising results. The iPad Mini shockingly gets obliterated this round, plunging from 30% all the way down to 6%, holding on to dear life. The 10th Gen iPad is still holding its ground as it now slips down to 18%. A pretty respectable performance so far, if I do say so myself. The 11-inch Air is finally out of the weeds as it now slips to 11%, but officially no longer in last place. Its larger brother isn't too far behind as the 13-inch Air now sits at 13%. The Pro models, though, continue flexing their superiority over the peasant iPads as the 11-inch Pro slips to only 44% and the 13-inch Pro still over half tank, officially coming in at 51%. This is a spectacular performance by the Pro models, I'm not even gonna lie. The other iPads are running out of time. If they don't do something and quick, they will slowly have to throw in the towel as they approach 0%. Okay, we now move on to round number 5. Things are getting intense. This is the social media test. I'm sure everybody prefers to scroll mindlessly through Reels or TikTok on a larger display, and it's something I prefer to do. Scrolling through X or Twitter is simply better on a larger display. But before X, we fire up TikTok on all 6 devices and mimic real-world usage, regularly swiping through different TikToks. However, we have our first fallen soldier. Unfortunately, the iPad Mini was unable to complete this test as it gets TKO'd early on in the 5th round, surviving just 7 hours and 28 minutes. A moment of silence for the fallen Mini. Alright, that's enough. We keep powering on. There are only 5 combatants left. Which one is going to throw in the towel next? We have yet another fallen iPad, this time via submission. The social media test was simply too much, and the 11-inch Air finally calls it quits, coming in at 5th place, succumbing to its injuries at 7 hours and 50 minutes. And now there are 4. It's going to be a close one, that's all I'm going to say. So after TikTok, we transition over to X, and because it's an election year, X is riddled with political posts, which at this point is super overbearing. I can't wait for the election to be over here in the States. We browse social media for a little over an hour total, and at the end, these are the figures we have. The Mini obviously got KO'd, so it's out of the competition, but the 10th Gen is hanging in there at 4%. The 11-inch Air is also out of the contest, while its older brother, essentially gassed the f*** out, is on its last leg, holding on barely at 1%. The Pros continue to flex their dominance, but the 11-inch Pro slips farther and widens the gap, coming in at 29%, while the mighty and bougie 13-inch Pro now sits at 37%, still being above a third of its tank. So after 5 rounds, we have 4 iPads remaining. Which one is going to fall next? We now head into the championship rounds. For this, it was time to school some dweebs in the Go Battle League on Pokemon Go. And before you say anything, yes, I still play Pokemon Go in 2024. I don't care. I love Pokemon. Each iPad gets 20 minutes to play, so that's normally around one set of Go Battle Leagues, which one set equals 5 battles. Not long after starting this test, our next combatant's corner throws in the towel. The larger 13-inch Air gasses out and calls it quits at 8 hours and 29 minutes into the competition. At this time, the 10th gen now rests at 3%, while the Pros more or less remain unchanged, with the 11-inch Pro remaining at 29% and the 13-inch Pro slipping just 1 point down to 36. Not bad, but we must continue the fight. Not long after, coming in 3rd place, our 10th gen iPad gets brutally KO'd via a processor kick to the head, officially throwing up the white surrender flag at 8 hours and 37 minutes into the competition, which means we only have 2 tablets remaining. This drain test definitely showcases the power and battery preservation of the new M4 Pro tablets, and all I can say is I'm seriously impressed by the M4's performance. Now that we only have 2, it's only a matter of time until a new victor is crowned. Some may argue a bigger display means more battery having to be used, but it's evident from this test the 13-inch Pro is giving the 11-inch Pro a run for its money. In our second to last test for round number 7, we now feature an iMovie export test. This test comes at a perfect time, seeing as our sole iPads remaining both feature the exact same chipset. Had we ran this test with some of the other tablets, the Pros would have certainly obliterated their competition. The same exact edits were made on the same 60-minute clip using the same exact export setting on iMovie. It really didn't take all too long to export such a large project, but at the conclusion of this test, the iPad Pro 11-inch slips 3 points down to 15%, while its larger brother, the 13-inch Pro, slips only 2 points down to 26. And now, time for our final test. This is the YouTube test, and in typical fashion, we fire up the best battery drain playlist on both devices found on the entire internet. That's right, TheJuan&Only's official battery drain playlist, card at the top right by the way. We let both the devices run until there's no juice left. With the 13-inch Pro maintaining a staggering lead the entire matchup, it is the clear favorite to win, with the 11-inch Pro now being a minus 580 underdog. The 11-inch Pro is only behind by 11 percentage points. Can it throw a few haymakers and rock the 13-inch Pro? It's gonna be hard, but it is still possible. After 11 hours of grueling testing, both are still standing, and at the 11-hour mark, the 2 Pro iPads maintain the exact same pace, being separated by 11 points, with the 11-inch Pro now sliding to just 4%, while the 13-inch Pro slips to 15%. It's not looking too hot for the 11-inch Pro, to be honest, and as expected, shortly after, the 11-inch Pro just could not take the heat and gets eliminated due to a tech doctor stoppage, officially calling it quits at 11 hours and 16 minutes, which means, ladies and gentlemen, we have a clear and decisive winner and a new reigning iPad battery drain champ. Give it up for the 13-inch iPad Pro. Just how much longer can it go though? We have to fast forward a good bit as the 13-inch Pro flexes its muscles finally, turning off at a staggering 13 hours and 4 minutes. That's more than an entire half day's worth of continuous use. I'm both shocked and impressed. Big shout out to the 11-inch Pro, who is our runner-up and gave a very, very valiant effort. So guys, there you have it. What can we take away from this? Well, for one, the M4 chip is an absolute monster, but also it shows you just how power efficient it is, allowing the largest, most powerful iPad to claim all the glory. Not only does the 13-inch Pro have the largest battery of all 6 iPads, but it also shows that bigger is in fact better. If you like this tech brawl, the best way to show your support is by clicking that subscribe button down below. Don't forget to drop a like and let me know which battery drain test you'd like to see next. It has been an honor to bring you all this exciting and informative drain test. I really hope this video helps some of you guys make that purchasing decision. These tests do take forever to construct, so at the bare minimum, a like goes a long way and would be greatly appreciated. That's it for now. Make sure to drink a glass of water today if you haven't already. And until next time, I'm clocking out for now, but I cannot wait to catch you all